Hi, angels, and welcome. I'm your host, Lisa Everding, founder of Earthy Angels, and I'm on a mission to empower women to live authentically and to take exquisite care of themselves. You can find us on earthyangels.com or head over to our show notes to follow us on socials. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you my personal reasons as to why I went on my very first retreat and what I got out of it. But honestly, I was so tired as a mum. I lost myself in my role as a wife and a mum. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I was just so exhausted and couldn't remember the last time that I took time out for myself. I will dive more into that in our episode today, so stay tuned, my friends. Hi angels, and welcome to another episode of Earthy Angels Connect. Today I want to share with you a bit of a conversation I had over the weekend with a client. We were talking about retreat and talking about, she was asking me about my experience, and I shared with her how far I have come since I went on my first retreat. Quite a few years ago now, and my big reason why, my big heartfelt reason why was I had completely lost myself. I had lost myself in my role as a mum, in my role as a wife, and I was just completely exhausted and I just didn't know who I was anymore. And as much as I love my family, love Tom, love the kids, I just felt like a part of me was just missing, and I needed to find some space because I couldn't remember when was the last time that I had actually taken time out for me to have a break. And so I decided to go on this retreat. I was in my 30s, towards my late 30s, and my kids were little. They were in primary school, and I just found that I needed to do something by myself because Tom and I had been together. He's my high school sweetheart, love of my life, and we've been together since we were 16. And we bought our first house when we were about 20. We got married at 21. We did everything super young. I had Riley when I was 25. So from a young age, all of my decisions were our decisions. Nearly every decision that we made, we had made together, which was amazing. But then you kind of hit this point where you're raising kids and sometimes it feels like life's going on around you, like you're watching the world go by as, your husband's still doing his kind of thing, and maybe your friends are doing their thing. And you kind of feel like as much as you're fulfilled, you love your kids, that a part of you just doesn't know who you are anymore. And that was something that I was sitting with. And I got into my 30s and I was still, there was nothing horribly wrong. I was still loving life, things were great, had a beautiful marriage and amazing family. But as I was approaching my 40s, I just felt a calling to a little bit more self-discovery and just a break because I was so freaking tired. I just really, really needed a break from being a mum. I was running a business as well. I had a personal training business, group fitness business, and there were things that I wanted to do as I was getting into my 40s, but I had this fear like, oh my gosh, I'm getting too old, right? Like, you can't go back and start something new in your 40s. And so I had to work through that as well. And as much as I loved my life, I was very, very blessed, love my family, I just felt like my days were consumed with taking care of everybody else. I really wasn't doing any self-care. I really was just working and running around and running the kids to sport and all the other things that they had, that I just had this deep feeling of who am I now? Like I felt really, really lost. And I remember years ago when I was young, I was a supervisor at a bank. And I remember I was one of the younger ones in the team and seeing the women who are probably my age now, my mid 40s. And I remember seeing them, and a few of them, their kids had gotten older and they'd invested, beautiful women, beautiful, beautiful mothers, and invested so much time and energy into their kids that sometimes I saw when that had happened that people's relationships had maybe started to suffer a little bit when the kids got older and moved out of home, and people are left, like a lot of mums are left going, who am I? What do I want to do? I'm lost without my role of caring for my family. And I've always had this habit of looking ahead at people who are older than me, looking at their choices that they've made in life, looking at what they've done, where they've ended up. Are they happy? Are they fulfilled? It's just something that I've always done. And I just got me thinking, even back then, like, I don't want to get to that point in my life where I don't know who I am anymore and what I want. And we all go through that at certain stages, but I just felt this calling that there was something more that I needed to do. And I feel that when you go away and you do something by yourself, it strengthens you as an individual, which in turn strengthens your relationship and strengthens your marriage as well. When I went, look, the timing was not ideal, and the timing is never going to be perfect for you, to go away or do something by yourself. I think it's always going to be something that a solution that you have to come up with. But he's always been super busy, right? He's just one of these people who can't sit still. So he had a job that he was in charge of, a big department. He also had a business that he was building on the side as well. And the kids were in primary school. So going away for a week, you kind of feel this little bit of guilt. Like the kids have to be run around, and you do have that mum guilt that goes through your mind. And then to top it off, just when I was about to go, we ended up finding out that we had termites in the garage in the house. And he had to organize with running the kids around for everything as well. Then he had builders and all these things going on with repairing the house on top of his 2 jobs. Like, it was hectic for him, but he still was such an amazing man, and it's like, go, it's fine. We've got everything taken care of. And as much as I needed this time and space for me, you have that contrast of, I need something for myself, but I'm going to miss them, right? Like, I'm going to feel guilty or feel like I'm not there. And it's a really hard feeling as a mum. So you kind of have this bit of mixed feelings, this bit of mixed emotions. But if I can leave you with anything, it is so true that absence makes the heart grow fonder. I definitely missed them. When I got there, I was crying like at certain points, but I was also scared. I was scared of leaving home. I was scared of getting on a plane by myself. I was scared of going overseas. I was worried about the home routine and, is everything going to be right? Like, you worry about all of these different things. But then when I got there, I started to feel at peace. I started to really enjoy the mornings where there was nowhere I had to be. There was nothing I had to do. And pretty soon I was like, what, kids? No, just kidding. I have experienced that before, actually. We went to Vegas for our 30th, and the kids were really, really little, and they stayed with my mum and dad. And I was like on the airplane flying to LA crying, bawling at the airport, got there, threw our stuff in the room, went to the casinos, and you're like, what, kids? And then the moment you talk to them, you kind of feel that guilt, and you feel like your heart racing because you miss them. So I get it, right? We all have this mum guilt. But I started feeling in retreat these mornings of just peace. I'm like, this is great. We would wake up and we would go to yoga. I'd have time on my own. I'd get up before everybody else and before our yoga practice, and I would have a swim and make a nice ginger tea and do some journaling. And I just felt so at peace because there was no one else I had to worry about by myself. So I actually really fell in love with that. And I felt like I could slow down and breathe. I had the space to slow down. I felt like I could just be and enjoy being still, because I was back then, I'm very different to what I am now. I do embody a lot more slowness, a lot more stillness. But back then, this old version of me, I had my PT business, running around with the kids. Like I said, Tom was super busy. I had to have the perfect home. Like, everything had to be so perfect. And I would not stop. It was seriously go 100 miles an hour all the time, because I thought it was lazy to stop and rest. And that was my mentality back then. I've changed a lot since then, but that was my mentality. And going on retreat really taught me the value in slowing down and nourishing my soul. I learned that you have to rest to create. I learned that you needed replenishment. And I started to really fall in love with the slow, mindful movement. I've always done yoga. I've done yoga from the time I was 19, but doing this every day on retreat, I was like, I feel amazing. I feel so amazing in my body. My soul just feels at peace. I feel so connected, so calm. And I really started to value the restoration component of this retreat. And so when I went home, I kind of found this beautiful new balance between I can be busy, I can do what I have to do, but I can also be peaceful and calm, because when I went to retreat, I felt like this cranky biatch of a mum and a wife that would just be, like you would lose your patience all the time, and you feel like you're constantly yelling at the kids, and then you kind of beat yourself up for being like that. And then I go to the extreme where I have that beautiful, peaceful week in Ubud. So I come back and I need to integrate some of this at home. So that really gave me the value in learning to slow down and be okay with slowing down. And I'm very, very grateful to that retreat for teaching me that. The other thing that I found is it really sparked this new creativity in me. It really sparked this inspiration because, like I said, I had ideas of things that I wanted to do. But I was worried I was too old. I'm too old to go back and study. Like all these fears or limiting beliefs start coming up into your mind. And then when I was on retreat, I really started to journal about my ideal day, how I want my day to plan out or to flow, I guess. And I would start to think about what I really wanted to do for work long term. Like, what's my purpose? I just really wanted to create this community of women because I was doing personal training. That stage, I hadn't done my yoga teacher training. I had not done any of my Pilates bar training, just doing the personal training. And I have always loved personal developments and just really finding that self-development within myself. And I would teach it with my clients and in the challenges and things that I would run. And I just really craved to have this space where I could just immerse my community in personal and spiritual development, because I could see that results come from the inside. No matter how much I would train somebody on the outside, if you weren't fulfilled or happy or love on yourself in the inside, you're never going to get that whole feeling of fulfillment, of satisfaction. And so I really wanted a community where I could teach women to fall in love with themselves, teach women to fall in love with taking care of themselves, teach women the inner work as well as the exterior work, and teach them to move their body, but also to love on their body and be compassionate and kind to their body. So I had this calling to bring the community together. I didn't know at that stage what it looked like. I didn't know I was going to open a yoga Pilates studio, but I just had this vision. And that's all you need sometimes, is the vision, without the how, without the why, just having this picture of what you want to create. So that's where Earthy Angels started to be birthed, was on my retreat in Ubud. And then when I came home, I sort of started to just do some research on, I think I am old enough to do my yoga teacher training. I get wisdom with the older I get. So I had a real shift in my perspective with my age not being a barrier anymore. And so I started to do some research. And then, one thing, I won't go into all that now, but one thing rolled into another, and teacher trainings aligned, the studio space aligned, everything started to fall into place. Really, honestly, if I look back, really pretty effortlessly. I didn't have to search too hard, but I just knew what I wanted. And I had to, when I was on retreat, I had to release this past old version of me, because I had fears. Like I said, I was too old, or I had fears that I'm not good enough. I had fears of talking to people like this, getting on Facebook Lives or putting myself out there on video, or talking to people, sharing publicly. I had a lot of fears that I had to work through. And I found that on retreat, there was a lot of emotion that I released and a lot of fears that I released and worked through to allow me to step into my power, to allow me to start to build my confidence. And all of that came, I can hand on my heart, put it down, it all started. It was all kind of birthed in me from my retreat. And now I honestly feel that I can do anything. I've done so many things. I actually make it a habit to get out of my comfort zone, because I know I grow and I get stronger when I do things out of my comfort zone. But back then, that was one of the scariest things I did, was get on a plane and go to Bali by myself with a group of women that I didn't know many of them. And that fear, I turned it into one of the biggest confidence builders of my life. And it gave me a true connection to my soul. Like, it really started that deep awakening of a spiritual journey for me. I started to feel more connected to my intuition. I started to learn to feel what it was like to ground and to pause and to listen and see what comes up. I started to develop a stronger bond with my soul. I started to get more clarity, more guidance, more answers started to come through for things. And I just started to really try and let go of what people thought. One of my biggest hang-ups was I was always worried about what people would think of me. And when I was over there, I unleashed this inner wild woman that was like dying to come out. And I experienced so much fun and freedom and adventure as well that really, look, I'm not going to go into too much of that because what goes on retreat stays on retreat. And I do like to keep elements of my retreat surprise for the girls that do come. But I really unleashed this inner wild woman and this craving for more, a bigger sense of adventure and for more experiences in my life. And I had to learn to fall in love with myself. I had to learn to value myself. And this process, girls, is not a week. This is not something that you do in just a week on retreat, but it gave me the tools to equip myself. It gave me the understanding of, hang on, like I am worthy of loving on myself. It gave me the power to start to stop and to look within and go, we're more than our physical exterior, and really start to accept myself. And women go through this all the time. You might go through periods of confidence and then all of a sudden you lack belief, and then you kind of feel good about yourself and then you don't. It's a constant process. It's a constant cycle. But if you're equipped with the tools on how to elevate your personal power, how to work through limiting beliefs, how to get out of a funk, like these are life-changing tools, girls, that you learn on a retreat. And one of my biggest whys was just to strip back the roles, the identities that I would carry as a mum, as a wife, as my career title, and go, who am I at a soul level behind all of these exteriors? What make up me? And that was a real big understanding for me that we're more of a soul coming in this world to have a human experience, and learning to listen to my soul, learning to just discover who I am at that soul level. And it is something that we will continue to work through for the rest of our lives. But that seed was planted for me back in retreat because I was tired, man. I was exhausted. I was sick of running around, and I felt like there's got to be more. As much as I'm happy, there's got to be more to my purpose than this. My purpose at that time was to be an amazing mum, still is, and to be an amazing wife, still is. But I think we need to find that personal identity at a soul level away from those titles and just stripping back the layers. You know, it's funny, I was reading in a book this morning. I love reading. I read all the time. And I was reading in this book. I'm just going to read you a tiny bit out of it, because I was reflecting on retreat this morning and I read this and I will share it with you. And it said, some clients tell me that they are too busy to keep a journal. This might be because their lives are too frantic or that they lack strategy. They're too preoccupied to pause momentarily, to make clear plans, to achieve more with less effort, to take time out for space to create. Lives without clear goals and plans are frequently unfulfilled by people drifting without purpose, who regularly take the path of least resistance. And I thought about that because it is easy to do what's familiar. It is easy to do what we're comfortable with. But we just find ourselves reacting to life. Getting out of your comfort zone is one of the best gifts that you can give yourself, because look, I had to put myself on a plane, and many of these women that I'm taking, I've got a retreat coming up in May and I've got one down the track in October. And putting yourself on a plane with people that you might not know everybody, and it is scary going overseas without your husband or without a friend, doing these things on your own. It's scary, but it's the biggest confidence builder ever. And I highly recommend for you to get out of your comfort zone as much as you can. Just make it a habit to get out of your comfort zone, because you will grow exponentially. But what I did find on retreat, even though I had these fears, I had these blocks, I had these limiting beliefs, everyone at home was fine. All of these things that I was worried about were not even an issue. The kids actually stepped up. Like, they were in primary school when I went. And Tom was telling me, like, the kids were making, more so Riley, she's the older one, like, they were making their own lunches. They were doing things, usually things that I would do for them. They would never in a million years offer to help do. They were doing it themselves because she wanted to kind of take this lead role of mum's not there. And I wanted to, you know, she kind of wanted to step into that mothering woman of the household role. She's always been quite mature. And Tom's like, they were totally fine. They were so good. They stepped up. When I come home, they're like, when are you going again? We really enjoyed this time with Dad. And I was worried for nothing. And that's what I've always found, that things that I have been afraid of or worried about putting myself out of my comfort zone for, they're all in your head. And chances are that thing that you're worried about doesn't even happen, or it's just so much better than you could ever have imagined. And I really experienced the contrast. I experienced the contrast of living for a weekend retreat in this beautiful, calm, ambient environment. Everything was peaceful. And because before I went, I felt like I was just sick of being this cranky mum. And look, I wasn't that bad, but we all have times that we go through that where we feel like we're just constantly yelling, constantly saying no, like everything just feels like a battle sometimes with the kids. And I was sick of feeling like this kind of cranky mum. Then I'd experienced what it felt like on the contrast to live in this beautiful, peaceful bubble for a week that I did not want to leave. That I was thinking, I have to find ways to integrate this into my everyday life. And so I did find when I come back, I was so much happier. I was so much calmer to be around because I understood the power in getting away. I understood the power in creating space for an extended period of time that I had to integrate it into my everyday life. So it made me really feel the value in just taking time out for maybe going to a class, or taking time out to go for a walk by myself, or sitting in meditation by myself, or going when the kids were at school guilt free, maybe ducking down to the beach for a couple of hours and reading a book and resetting at the end of the week. So I felt nice and calm. And then I was happier again. I've really understood the value in having that period out to reset, but also creating space to work on myself. I opened myself up to receive. I really, truly had a goal when I went on retreat. I'm just going to be open. I'm going to go with no, I'm not going to be closed off. And I'm just going to be open to the experience and see what comes up. And because I open myself up to receive, I receive more clarity on my dreams, my desires. I received more self-love and acceptance and self-worth. I received healing, spiritual awakening, really meeting my inner wild, free, fun self again. I received confidence and trust in myself. I received more answers and guidance. And then in the long term, coming out of retreat, I just found I received more abundance effortlessly. It just flowed effortlessly. It flowed to me with more ease and flow. And because after retreat, things started to line up for me. I started to see my dreams manifest. Look, these are not things that just happen in the week. Retreat, yes, you take that week out, but it has this beautiful ripple, this beautiful flow on effect that you flow out into everyday life. And I started to see some of my dreams and goals start to manifest. But yes, I had to take action too. Like it's great to have dreams, to have ambition, to have goals and desires. But I had confidence now to start taking some action because I had taken that time away by myself and stepped into my power. I come back and I had this new self-belief that I can do these things for myself. I can learn more. I can build my vision. I am capable. I am worthy of doing it. And I really had this beautiful confidence. And so many areas of my life started to improve. My marriage started to improve because like absence makes the heart grow fonder. And when you're away, you realize those things that you miss about one another. And because I was calmer and more happier in the household, and as a mum, you tend to be the leading energy of the household. The whole household was calmer, and a few, beautiful little things that I would do in retreat, I would do at home. And it just set the tone because everything's a reflection of what you put out. And I started to realize that the calmer I am, I could see that reflecting in my husband. I could see that reflecting in the kids. So as a result, your relationships improve. The household is more calmer, more balanced. I'm a happier mum. My career's starting to take a turn for what I want to do in my life. Money started to come into my life. And I just had this inner fulfillment and this inner happiness because I started making changes that were right for me after stepping away from the daily rat race to see a bigger perspective of my life, because you can't see the shit when you're in it sometimes. You have to get out of it to see a bigger picture and to evaluate what's working, what's not working. And I honestly came home thinking every woman needs to do this for themselves. Every woman needs to experience a retreat at least once in their life, if not annually. Like a goal would be annually, but then my vision started to expand and I had a goal to take women on retreat. I'm like, I just want to lead women in this space. So over the years, I developed more training, more confidence, more knowledge, more wisdom, did a lot more inner spiritual work that I could give this gift back to other women. But I often find one of the big barriers for mums doing this for themselves, for women doing this for themselves, is guilt. It's guilt taking time away, giving yourself permission to actually take some time for you or spend money on you. That investment in you, it makes you feel guilty. And then that also brings up the reason or the feeling of guilt around money. Time and money are the two big things that, and they are legitimate reasons. They are legitimate blocks that do hold people back from doing what they actually want to do. But I've always had this feeling, if there's something in your heart calling you, I have a trust that I can make it happen. And I know when I make a decision, even if I don't have the money at the time, even if I can't figure out how to do it, I make a decision and the universe conspires to make it happen. It creates space. You manifest money. You just get creative and things line up to make your vision a reality. And I just cannot stress that enough, to know that you in your heart and soul are worthy. You are worthy of doing this for yourself. Don't feel guilty. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be better for you, for your family, for your loved ones as a result of you going on a retreat. And I just ask you to ask yourself, feel into, is this something that my soul wants and needs? And I don't know when the right timing is for you, like that's something that only you can answer. But just having the courage to ask yourself the question, what does my heart and soul really need? Do I need to get away? Do I need to restore? Do I need to work on myself? And just feel into what comes up for you, because your limiting blocks are going to come up. And then we need to strip away the layers, the resistance to work through them. But I know you're never going to regret it. I know in my heart and soul, I've been on retreats, I've taken women on retreats. Everyone says that was the best experience of my life. And I have been really blessed over the years. I've had lots of luxury free air conditioning trips as well with my husband. And I know what it feels like to be spoiled, to be on the receiving end of, we literally would rock up with a passport and nothing else. Everything else was taken care of. So having that experience, having the experience of going on retreats, having many years of travel. I've been a big traveler over the years, having many years of inner work and teaching and women's circles and coaching and this love for adventure and experience. I blend them all together to give you this most amazing retreat experience based on everything that I have experienced. And I have been on the receiving end, girls, and I absolutely love it. And I want other women to experience in your own way what this has done for me. I know it can transform your life as well. And I really enjoy working in that small, intimate container. It is powerful. The energy, the collective energy of the women in a small retreat container away from all of the distractions for a week awakens these deep-seated desires in you that were awakened in me. And so many changes have come for me from my first retreat. And I know so many changes can come from you. So you have absolutely no idea how excited I am to give this gift to other women. It's been on my dreams list and I have done it. And I just want to make this part of my Earthy Angels offerings for who knows how long this is going to play out for. But my goal at the moment is I just want to take women on retreat every single year because I know what it's done for me. And I want to see that transformation and help other women have that transformation themselves, because it is so powerful. And I am mindful, like I have a huge undertaking to deliver an incredible experience for all of you. But I know in my heart and soul, I'm intuitively guided and I'm powerful enough. And that's why I'm here, lit up by what is about to unfold. I'm a generator in my human design. And so I've learned to follow what lights me up, and retreats light me up like you would not believe, because I firsthand experienced them. And so I really want to give that gift to you. And I know that a retreat has the power to transform your life on so many levels, girls. And I hope that you decide one day to do it for yourself, because you will never regret it. And one day I can't wait to hear your story and to hear what you got out of a retreat, and hear how it changed your life, and hear how it maybe course corrected you, or maybe helped you discover something deep about yourself, a new path, a new journey, release something that you've been carrying for a long time. Just be a happier mom, attract a relationship into your life, attract abundance into your life, attract whatever it is that your heart and soul desires, I know that a retreat has the power to really plant that seed for you. So I hope to share that with you one day, angels. If you have any questions at all, I do have information on my website on earthyangels.com/retreats on the different retreats that we offer. And I really hope that I get to work with you on a retreat one day, angels. Have the most beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode and want more, feel free to follow or subscribe on whatever platform you listen to. You can also head over to earthyangels.com or join our private Facebook group, Earthy Angels Connect, for more community, blogs, updates, inspo, motivation, support, and to connect with a tribe of like-minded souls. And if you have a moment, we would be super grateful if you would love to leave a review. Sending you so much light and love, Angel.